how many of you guys, you have dysfunction in your family? Let me see your hand. Put your hand up. Now hold it up. Hold it up. Now look around at all the people around you that do not have their hand lifted. We're going to pray about a spirit of lying this morning here in the church, okay? Because the truth is we all have dysfunction in our families. Isn't that true? Okay, here's the good news that I have for you today, all right? And that is that no amount of dysfunction that you have can stop the will of God. No amount of dysfunction in your family can hinder God's will for your life. Now, guys, I've got to tell you, that's about the only good news I've got for you this morning. Because the rest of the news I have for you today is difficult, because this is not the story in Genesis 27 of some man who realizes the right thing to do in the midst of difficulty and does the right thing. Not this story. This is a story of who can do the worst. Between Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Esau, who can absolutely make the worst choice? Okay, and they treat God's will, his blessing, they treat it like a football that can be passed around and manipulated. And guys, I love this chapter, because what Moses does is that he writes 7 conversations. One is at the beginning, actually, of 28. I think it belongs with this chapter, but thank God I don't have to cover that today, because we got so much to get through today. But he creates this beautiful story here, and of course it's true. But guys, it's the way Moses writes it to bring out the things he wants us to see, the emotions that he wants us to feel. And here's our big idea that you're going to get from the text this morning, is you cannot manipulate God to get him to do what you want. You can't manipulate him. People try. Okay, guys, now listen. Hear me out on this. Bear with me. There is no amount of praying or worshiping or claiming or believing or shouting or anything else that can manipulate God into doing something that he does not want to do. You cannot manipulate God to get him to do what you want. Now, here's the thing. All those things are good. The praying, the crying, the worshiping, the believing, because we're struggling to believe for the promises we know God does have for us. All of that is good. But you can't manipulate God with your emotions or anything else and get him to do something that he doesn't want to do. All right, now, it's going to be your job this morning, guys, to hang on to this, because I've got 46 verses to get through today. A lot of scripture, a lot of story, but it's so good. It's so good. So your responsibility, hang on to this big idea. You can't manipulate God to get him to do what you want. Maybe a little bit of other good news today, and that is that you're going to see that the same dysfunction that is going on in your family is the same dysfunction that was going on in families 4,000 years ago. I guess for a lot of us, we will also see that this morning as well. Okay, now let's start with the first person who's going to try to manipulate God, all right? The first person, and that is Isaac. Isaac's dysfunction is hiding, secrecy, and conspiracy. Hiding, secrecy, and conspiracy. Now, when I was a kid and I thought about this chapter, the only thing I thought about, that there was a bad guy, and it was Jacob. I thought, well, Jacob lies in the story. I thought Jacob was a bad guy. Man, Jacob can't hold a candle. Jacob is little guy on the totem pole compared to these other people. You're going to see today that Isaac, he has hiding, secrecy, and conspiracy. Okay, now watch. Isaac wants to give his firstborn blessing to his oldest son Esau. Here's the problem. Esau has already disqualified himself from getting that blessing. He married 2 Canaanite women. He's already disqualified himself. Now, he may not realize he's disqualified himself yet. In fact, in the next chapter, we'll see that. But he has disqualified himself by marrying the 2 Canaanite women. Also, he has sold his birthright to his younger brother. His father has no business trying to give him a blessing that he cannot have. But Isaac wants him to have it. So he's going to do it in hiding, in secrecy, and in conspiracy. Look in Genesis chapter 27 and beginning with verse 1. It says, and it happened. All right, now guys, we were talking about this between service, that my translation, what it does, it's altered translation. What it does is it attempts, when there's repeating verses in the book of Genesis, it attempts to make them all the same so that you can see when things repeat. And that's what's going on here. And it happened. It's a phrase that Moses often uses in your translation that's in front of you. It may not do that, but alter attempts to do repeating phrases so that you can see, oh, in Hebrew, that phrase is repeating. All right? In English translations, what tends to happen is those interpreters try to make it very readable for you in English so they don't repeat the phrase exactly the same every time. And alter does. All right? So, and it happened when Isaac was old. All right, so Isaac here, guys, if you do the math, Isaac is 137 years old. 137, okay. And if you read the story, it seems like that Isaac has one foot in a grave and the other foot on a banana peel. It seems like he's going to die. He's going to up and die. That's what it seems like when you read the story. Guys, this man would live another 43 years. The problem isn't, is he on the verge of death? Here's the issue. He thinks he's dying. You guys know people, right? They go into a bad spell and they think they're going to die, and then they come out of it, right? And you think, man, this person in my family, they're going to live forever. I mean, they're never going to die, right? They keep recouping, right? They just keep, right? And that's what's going on here with Isaac. And it happened when Isaac was old that his eyes grew too blurry to see, probably cataracts, a man of a certain age. And he called to Esau, his elder son. Now, guys, I want you to notice what's not here in this phrase. He called to Esau. He doesn't say his firstborn, because firstborn has a connotation to it of what belongs to him, the firstborn blessing. So Moses, as he's narrating this, Moses does not put, which he could have put, his firstborn son. He calls Esau his elder son and said to him, my son. And Esau said, here I am. And Isaac said, look, I have grown old. I know not how soon I shall die. Okay, so you guys understand. He's just feeling like he's going to go, right? But he's worried about that he is on the verge of dying. So there's a hurry to this text. There's a hurry that Isaac has to. I think I'm going to die. I'm old. I think I'm going to die. I need to take care of this. Look at verse 3. So now. All right, now guys, again, in your translation, you may not see this, but the author shows the repeating phrases. So at the beginning of verse 3, if you're following along with us in the study of Genesis, just circle the beginning of verse 3 there. It's going to be a repetitive phrase that happens 3 times in the story. Isaac is going to give Esau a plan. Remember now, this is not Esau's plan. Esau has already sold his birthright. This is Isaac's plan. So now, take up, pray, your gear, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt me some game. And make me a dish of the kind I love. You know what I love? You know I love that fish. Okay, so the kind that I love. And bring it to me that I may eat. so that I may solemnly bless you before I die. Now you may think, well, Isaac's the dad. Esau's the first, he's the elder son. Isaac can bless him if he wants. All right, now guys, I want to ask you a question. Let's say in your family. Let's say one of the siblings shows up after mom and dad passes and said, well, on their deathbed, mom told me I get everything. That don't work in your family? Oh, you mean mom told you get the house and you get the car and you get the 401k money? Mom told you get all that. Well, you know there's a will. No, mom told me I get it. You going to believe that? Okay, now listen. Here's the thing about what Isaac is doing here. What Isaac should do as the man of the house, and he wants to give this blessing to Esau, what he should do is call a family meeting, right? If he really wants this to be the way that it is, a family meeting should be called. Everybody should be there, and he should say what he's going to do in front of everyone. Not what he does. Because he's trying to get by with something that he knows he should not be doing. So he has to do this in secrecy, in hiding, and in conspiracy with his oldest son, who also knows his dad should not be doing this. What are you doing, Isaac? What are you doing? But he sends him out in a hurry. Listen, guys, Isaac's plan to hide and to deceive cannot hold a candle to his wife. He has met his match with Rebekah. Guys, when I read this story about how deceptive she is, I want to applaud. I'm like, amazing what this woman did. Unbelievable. Now let's see what Rebekah's dysfunction is. Rebekah's dysfunction is conceiving and preparing a diabolical plan. I mean, she had to have planned this thing for years. We're going to see this. Look at Genesis chapter 27, beginning with verse 5. And it says, and Rebekah was listening. All right, in the Hebrew, guys, we get the connotation of that she's this is an ongoing habit for her. This is something she's actively doing. This is not like, oh, she happened to be walking by Isaac's door and oh, they're talking. I better pay attention to that. No. She had the radar up. Beep, 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 beep. I know you guys have no family members like this. Yeah. Y'all just thought of somebody. I know. Right? And they're listening. Antennas up. Beep, beep, beep. She's paying attention. Oh, Esau walked in there. And guys, in my mind, the way this works, okay, so I don't know, a nomad's tent, what does that look like? Well, in my mind, it looks like, like a wedding tent. Like how they have the big, poles in the middle of them, one down here, one down there, and maybe there's a tent flap entrance on one side, and maybe a tent flap entrance on the other, and maybe they have some kind of curtains up to divide sections of the tent. Maybe they put up some storage bins or some trunks that they stack up that divides for when they travel, for when they pack their stuff and move. Maybe they divide it that way, but I imagine there are some rooms there because Rebekah is listening and she's hearing Isaac in the one room talking to Esau. And Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to Esau. Look at this. Esau, look, his son. Now, isn't Esau also Rebekah's son? Yes. But Moses is making it clear to us, Esau is Isaac's son. Guys, Rebecca here, she's like a double knot spy. She's like a CIA agent who is living in the house, pretending to be the doting wife, caring for her dying husband, while at the same time, really in her heart, just trying to make sure that her favorite son gets that blessing, so that when the old man dies, she can share with that blessing with her young son. In her heart, that's really what she's after. And Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to Esau, his son, and Esau went off to the field to hunt game to bring. So he's going away. He's in on the plot now. He's gone to try to get his gear together and go and get the game. And Rebekah said to Jacob, her son. Jacob, whose son? And Rebekah said to Jacob, her son. Look, I have heard your father speaking to Esau your brother, saying, bring me some game and make me a dish that I may eat, and I shall bless you in the Lord's presence before I die. Guys, go back. This phrase right here, in the Lord's presence. Isaac never said that. She's trying to add umph to it. She's trying to get him moving. Come on, let's go. Come on. Put this thing into motion. Look at verse 8. So now. Now I had you circle that phrase at the beginning of verse 3. Now Rebekah has a plan. So it was Isaac's plan before in verse 3. Now Rebekah's plan. Isaac with his favorite son. Now Rebekah with her favorite son. And guys, this plan, oh man, when you see, so we're going to see what her plan was, but it's going to actually take till we get to Esau for you to really get how much conniving and planning was really done in this story. It's just amazing. So now, my son, listen to my voice, to what I command you. Go, pray to the flock, and fetch me from there 2 choice kids. All right, that's goats. All right, now, guys, we're just going to put a pause on the story right here for just a moment, right? Just pause the story. And for those of you that are following along with us in Genesis, I want to talk to you about these goats here. All right, now, you guys, if you've been following along with us in chapter 17 through 21, you guys kind of might remember that as the Isaac chapters, the laughing chapters, all those places where people laughed. Okay, well, from this chapter on, you're going to see the deceiving stories, all these stories of deception. And one of the symbols in these stories of deception is goats. Like for example, in Genesis 37, when you get to Jacob and them pretending to kill Joseph, their brother Joseph, they will take his coat of many colors and they'll dip it in goat's blood. The goat is a symbol of their deception. Then when you get to chapter 38 with Judah has slept with a roadside prostitute, and he's going to send her as payment for sleeping with her. He's going to send her 2 goats. It's a symbol of deception that shows up in all of these stories. Turns out to be his daughter-in-law, by the way. What's going on in chapter 38? Oh, man. All right, so these people, man, this family, I love to think about this as this is the family of God. It makes me feel so much better as a pastor, right? This is God's family. Oh, praise the Lord. Okay. So now, my son, listen to my voice, to what I command you. Go pray to the flock and fetch me from there 2 choice kids' goats, that I may make them into a dish for your father of the kind he loves. So she knew what tasted right to him. She knew his taste. And you shall bring it to your father, and he shall eat, so that he shall bless you before he dies. You guys see the plan? All right, let's look at verse 11. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "Oh, no, Mom, we can't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. That's absolutely deceive you. We're not going through with that. I'll have nothing to do with that. We're going to march ourselves right in there to Dad. We're going to tell him, listen, we overheard what you said to Esau. You know Esau has disqualified himself by marrying those Canaanite women. You know he sold Jacob the birthright. You know these things. What you're doing is not right. We're bringing it up now. We're going to deal with this as a family. That's what he's going to say, right? Oh. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, look, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I'm a smooth-skinned man. What if my father feels me, and I seem a cheat to him, and bring on myself a curse and not a blessing? What's he say? What if I get caught? What if I get caught? He's not worried at all about what's right or wrong. Mom, what are you thinking? You understand, guys, he's not been in on this plan at all. He has no idea what she's been planning. And I think about how many things she had to have planned to wait on what Isaac would do before she knew what she was going to do. Man, this woman. What if I bring on myself a curse and not a blessing? What if I get caught? She's like, I've already thought of that. And his mother said in her best Yoda voice, she says, upon me your curse, my son. And guys, here's the thing. You're going to see it at the end of the story, is that her controlling and manipulating end her up in a very bad position in life. Not the position she wanted to be in. What she thought she was going to get from this, she cannot get. She cannot get it. Because God cannot be manipulated to give you what you want him to give you. Can't be manipulated. Just listen to my voice and go and fetch them for me. Verse 14. And he went and he fetched and he brought to his mother, and his mother made a dish of the kind his father loved. Verse 15. Oh, man. And Rebekah took the garments of Esau, her elder son, the finery that was with her in the house. Okay, now guys, just think about this for a minute. Esau's married. He's got 2 wives, which is a trouble all in itself. Why do you still have Esau's robe? Why do you still have Esau's robe in your house? Why have you not told Esau, hey, I still got your robe? Why is she hanging on to this robe? For this day. This woman has been plotting for years, and she has a robe of Esau's that she's kept back in the house, probably not reminded Esau that he had it. She's holding on to it for just this very day. Man, and you thought there were deceivers in your family. She took the finery that was with her in the house and put them on Jacob, her younger son. I imagine her putting that robe on Jacob and him thinking, what's this for? Dad can't see. He can barely see. He can barely see who's right there with him. Why do I need this robe of Esau? And he doesn't know. And the skins of the kids she put on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. Now, guys, this is not something she runs out and does. This is not like, she takes the skin of the goats that she just made the stew with. That's not what's happening here. Because, look, have you ever tried to put a piece of fabric over your hand and make it stay there? And then walk around and do stuff with it? I mean, in a second, she's going to hand him a bowl and some bread to carry with it. How is the stuff going to stay? No, she's like made gloves. She's made something that's going to stay on his hand. This is something that's going to stay on his neck. She's prepped this. And she placed the dish and the bread she had made in the hand of Jacob, her son. Look, how's it going to hold? And that thing's going to fall out. And guys, you know she's so brilliant. She's so smart. She's created such a diabolical plan here. And it's stuff we're going to see that she's really appealing to all the right senses as we move through this story. You're going to see it. Well, don't you know if she's so smart that she could also think to just walk in there and tell Isaac, look, this is not right what you're doing here with the family. You know Esau's disqualified himself. You know she's smart enough to do that. She chooses this plan instead. The dysfunctions of the family of God. Let's look at the next person. This is the one so many people know about when they think about this story. Jacob's dysfunction, lying. Jacob's just a liar. He has no part of this plan. He has nothing to do with what his mom's planned for. He just, all his job is to do is to lie. Here, go in there and lie to that. And guys, Moses writes this in a way to cause us to feel. It's like a thriller. It's like watching a movie when the people are all like you're anxious. I mean, there's a point in this story when you really feel what the people are feeling here, where I almost want to pull for Jacob, like hurry, right? Move, come on, right? That's kind of what's going on here in this story. Look in verse 18. And he came to his father, this is Jacob, and said, Father. And Isaac said, here I am. Look at this. Who are you, my son? Who are you, my son? Is that the way you would expect a dad to greet someone walking in that you assume you know? What does this tell us here when he says, who are you, my son? That the sound of his voice doesn't really sound right to him. This doesn't really, but here's what you're going to see, guys, and it's what Rebecca knows, is that Isaac doesn't trust his hearing. Isaac doesn't trust his ears. He doesn't trust his eyesight. She knows he doesn't trust his ears. His eyes or his ears, doesn't trust, but he trusts all the other senses. She knows that. Who are you, my son? And Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I'm here for the blessing. All of the rights and all of the stuff that comes with it. I'm the firstborn. Lie after lie. Here comes another lie. I have done as you have spoken to me. Now listen to how Jacob talks here. He says, rise, pray, sit up, and eat. You can kind of see him fumbling, right? Rise, pray, sit up, eat. Look, here's Jacob trying to move his dad. Now his dad's in a hurry, right? Because his dad's trying to do this in secrecy. But now Jacob's in a hurry because who's Jacob thinking might come right through that door, right? That tent flap right there. Esau. So look at what he's doing. Rise, pray, sit up, eat. Now, here's what we learn right here from this. Because why does he tell him sit up if he's not laying down? So in your mind's eye, you automatically see him laying down, which also tells us that at this point in life, Isaac's probably bedridden. So he's got the hearing problem, he's got the seeing problem, and he's probably bedridden. Rise, pray, sit up, and eat of my game so that you may solemnly bless me. Look at verse 20. And Isaac said to his son, how is it that you found it this soon, my son? How'd you find it this soon? Now guys, here's the thing. Why doesn't Isaac just say, look, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about what's going on right now. Look, I need a minute. I need. Let's just put this on pause right here. Let's just look. I just want to put a comma in this, right? Why doesn't he do that? Because he's trying to make this happen. He's put something in motion. He's trying to get it going. He wants this thing to happen. Man, guys, the facts sometimes they don't matter when your issues are going. Sometimes the facts go out the window when you are driven by those issues that are going on, those feelings that you have. And that's what's happening here. And he said, oh, guys, here's the big lie. You guys ready for this is the big lie. And he said, because Yahweh, the Lord, because he invokes the name of the Lord. Because Yahweh, what's this? Your God. Who's God? Who's God? Why doesn't he say, my God? Why doesn't he say, our God? Sounds like he doesn't believe. Because the Lord, your God, gave me good luck. Guys, right here in the story, here's what I expect. I expect a lightning bolt. Bam! Come down out of the sky right through that tent. Whack! You invoke the name of the Lord and say, oh, it's because God has done this thing. I'm going to tell you guys something. My perspective on somebody saying, God said. Okay, look, a lot of times as a pastor, people will walk into my office and they'll tell me, they'll say, well, Pastor, God told me such and such a thing, or God's telling me to do such and such a thing. And at that point, I say, okay. You're bringing God into this, and you're saying God told you, so what opinion of mine matches up against what you said God said? I mean, you're in essence telling me your opinion doesn't matter. You are in essence taking me as your pastor out of the equation because you've done said God told you. So what business is it of mine to have anything to say about that? People bring God into stuff he has no business being brought into. People blame God for things he had no business being blamed for. People will say things like God told them to validate the thing they wanted to happen. And that's exactly what's going on in this story. Jacob is trying to bring God into it to make the old man feel better about what he's doing. And Isaac said to Jacob, he's not convinced. Come close, pray, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are my son Esau or not. Look in verse 22. And Jacob came close to Isaac, his father, and he felt him. Now guys, what did Rebekah know Isaac trusted? He doesn't trust his eyes. He doesn't trust his ears. But what does he trust? What does he trust? He trusts touch. He trusts his touch. She knew that. She was ready for that. So far in advance, ready for that. And he said, the voice is the voice of Jacob. And the hands are Esau's hands. I imagine, guys, right now at this point, boom, 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 boom. Jacob's heart beating out of his chest. Come on. Come on. But he did not recognize him. All right, again, guys, it may not show up exactly this way in your translation, but this phrase right here is going to occur. Alter will show again and again how this phrase occurs in other deception stories. But he did not recognize him. For his hands were, like Esau's hands, hairy. And he blessed him. Still not totally convinced. Look at verse 24. And he said, you my son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, serve me that I may eat of the game of my son, so that I may solemnly bless you. And he served him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And Isaac said to his father, he brought him that wine, kind of bring Dad down a little bit, right? Put a little wine in him. And Isaac, his father, said to him, come close, pray, and kiss me, my son. Oh man, what Rebekah thought of here. It just amazes me. Verse 27, and he came close and kissed him, and he smelled. What other sense does he trust? He doesn't trust his sight. He doesn't trust his hearing, but he trusts his touch, and he trusts his sense of smell. He trusted his taste too, remembering what he ate. His nose, his touch, his taste, those are the things he trusted. He smelled his garments. Man, for all of those years that she kept those garments of Esau for this moment. And he smelled his garments, and he blessed him, and he said, see, the smell of my son is like the smell of the field that the Lord has blessed. Wow. Okay, and now, guys, he's going to bless him. Now he's going to do the blessing. This is where, like, the blessing. He's been blessing him. But now this is where the blessing happens. Verse 28, it says, may God grant you from the dew of the heavens and the fat of the earth and abundance of grain and drink. May people serve you and nations bow before you. Be overlord to your brothers. Ooh, that's a big one. Be overlord to your brothers. May your mother's sons bow before you. Those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you blessed. Jacob's in there lying. He's lying mom's lies. You guys see that happen in families too, right? Next person's dysfunction. Esau's dysfunction is anger. Look, your family, you know anybody in your family gets angry? How about lying? Any lying in anybody's family? How about people coming up with plans and trying to do things behind other people's back? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Same stuff, right? Same stuff. Same stuff. Esau's issue is anger. His issue is anger. Let's look at verse 30. And that happened as soon, that's the beginning of a new story. And it happened as soon as Isaac finished blessing Jacob. All right, so in my mind, as soon as the blessing finishes, I see Jacob turn with the dish kind of rattling in his hand from all the boom, 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 boom. And he starts back out that curtain there. And as soon as Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob barely had left the presence of Isaac, his father, that Esau, his brother, comes through that tent flap. I imagine that Jacob can still hear the voice of his brother as he's going out that back tent flap. That Esau, his brother, came back from the hunt, and he too made a dish and brought it to his father, and he said to his father, let my father rise and eat of the game of his son, so that you may solemnly bless me. Very ceremonial Hebrew. He says it very traditionally, and like, we're going to do this now. Right? Remember when Jacob was getting him ready? Remember when Jacob was getting Dad ready? Rise, pray, sit, fumbling, right? Here we go. Come on. Okay. Come, let's get you up here, right? Not Esau. Esau walks in with the meat. Rise. Come on, I have this ready now, right? Verse 32. And his father Isaac said, make sure you get it. It's his father. His father Isaac said, who are you? Now you remember when Jacob first walked in the room, he said, who are you? My son. Now he treats Esau like a stranger. Who are you? This tells me, from the sound of Esau's voice, he's like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And Esau said, I love this. Remember, it was in the mouth of Jacob, and now we see it in the mouth of Esau. He says, I am your son, your firstborn. Esau. Guys, this whole feeling here in verse 33 carries us through a big section of the story here. And Isaac was seized with a very great trembling. The old man starts to shake. Oh, no. And he said, who is it then who caught game and brought it to me, and I ate everything before you came and blessed him. Now blessed he stays. Guys, I want to point out, he says, this is the way it's going to be. This is it. Verse 34, when Esau heard his father's words. Guys, I imagine he's looking at his dad trembling there. He wasn't there for the whole Jacob thing, so he didn't see what happened. He's been out hunting game, and he's been so excited, but his dad's going to give him this blessing that doesn't belong to him, and he's going to, and I can imagine him looking around like, what is going on right now? And he starts to figure it out, right? He starts to figure it out. And when Esau heard his father's words, he cried out with a great and very bitter outcry, this shout, this scream, and he said to his father, bless me too, Father. And he said, Isaac said, your brother has come in deceit and has taken, look at what he says, your blessing did not belong to Esau. He'd already sold it. But in Isaac's eyes, he wanted Esau to have it. He took your blessing. Verse 36, Esau continues. He's still so angry. And he said, was his name called Yaakov? Now, guys, in Hebrew, Jacob is pronounced Yaakov. Okay, really kind of two separate words that go together to make up the name, Yaakov. He says, was his name called Yaakov that he should akab me? He takes the name, the verb portion of the name Jacob, and he uses it in the sentence here to describe what Yaakov has done. Was his name called Yaakov that he should now akab me? Now twice by the heels. Once at birth, grabbing his heels, and now here, tripping him up. My birthright he took. No, he didn't. You sold it to him. But he's mad. My birthright he took, and look, now he's taken my blessing. No, he hasn't. What did the blessing go with? The blessing went with the birthright. And he said, Esau says, have you not kept back a blessing for me? And look, guys, the answer is no. No. Because he tried to give everything to Esau. He already tried to give him everything. Look in verse 37. And Isaac answered and said to Esau, look, I made him overlord to you, and all of his brothers I gave him as slaves, and with grain and wine is endowed to him. For you then, what can I do, my son? I really have nothing left. And Esau said to his father, do you have but one blessing, my father? Bless me too, father. And Esau raised his voice and he wept. Verse verse 39, and Isaac his father answered and said to him, look, from the fat of the earth be your dwelling, and from the dew of the heavens above. Well, not much blessing there. By your sword shall you live, and your brother shall you serve. Ooh, not a great blessing. And when you rebel, actually Esau's already rebelled. When you rebel, you shall break off his yoke from your neck. This really foreshadows in the book of Numbers when Esau's descendants, the descendants of Moab, rise up against Israel's descendants. And there's this conflict there at the end of the book of Numbers that foreshadows that. Look at verse 41. And Esau seethed with resentment against Jacob over the blessing his father had blessed him. And Esau said, where did he say it? He doesn't say it out loud. He said it in his heart. As soon as the time for mourning my father comes round, 43 years from now, I will kill Jacob, my brother. He doesn't know it's going to be that long, but it is. All right, guys, let's look at some consequences for Rebekah. All right, because I'm going way too long. Here we go. I love this. Rebekah, the woman of God. I love that. The woman of God. Rebekah's consequences: live away from those she loves without the benefits of the blessing. So here's the thing, guys. I've told you what the two main blessings in the book of Genesis are. They are land and children and land. That's right. Children and land are the two main blessings. When Jacob leaves from this place that day, he's received the blessing from his father, but he'll flee with none of it. He'll flee with nothing. Let's look at the verses. Genesis 27, beginning of 42. And Rebekah was told the words of Esau, so Esau must have said it out loud, her elder son. And she sent and summoned Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, look, Esau, your brother, is consoling himself with the idea he's going to kill you. So now, my son, listen to my voice. So now, the third time in these verses, so now. Again, your translation may say it differently, but Alter tries to make those repetitive phrases the same. So now, my son, listen to my voice and rise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran. You think you've met a deceiver. You have not met a deceiver until you met Rebekah's brother, Laban. He can bring some deception. And you see this thread of deception that exists in this family. Verse 44, and you may stay with him a while until your brother's wrath subsides, until your brother's rage against you subsides, and he forgets what you did to him. You mean forgets what you did to him. Okay. And he forgets what you did to him, and I shall send and fetch you from there. Why should I be bereft of both of you on one day? Here's what she thinks. She thinks that the twins that wrestled in her womb, she thinks the twins are going to wrestle again on this day. She's going to lose both of them. That's what she thinks. Why should I lose both of you on one day? Guys, here's the thing that Rebekah loses. The Bible, the scripture, never shows us Rebekah with Jacob ever again. See, we look at this and we say, oh, Jacob ended up with a firstborn blessing. But what benefit of that was to Rebekah? She thought she was going to get to enjoy, when the old man died, she thought she was going to get to enjoy the benefit of the blessing with her favorite son. She never saw him again, that we can see in Scripture. How about the price? How about the price that Jacob paid? He's leaving with a dad who's shaking, trembling. He's leaving with a brother who wants to kill him and a mom that he's never going to see again. And all that stuff he was supposed to get from dad, he's fleeing with none of it. What am I telling you? The price tag of success is just as high when you're trying to manipulate something, when you're trying to control something. The cost of success is just as high as the price of failure. When you're trying to control and manipulate God and you succeed, or you think you've succeeded, that price tag is going to be really high for you. Sin doesn't pay. The price tag for Isaac and Esau and the price tag for Rebekah and Jacob were just as high. What's Rebekah's response to all this going to be? Well, her response is deflection. Deflect. Let's look at it. Genesis chapter 27 and verse 46. And Rebekah said to Isaac, Isaac, listen, I'm sorry. I know everything I've done at home. I know I've messed this family up. I know I came out with this dumb plan and I got the brothers angry and I just want to say I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me? Let's see if we can work through this and get the brothers together. Let's bring them in. Let's talk. Let's get them into some counseling. Let's do some group therapy. Is that what she does? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I loathe my life because of the Hittite women. Now, look, you do loathe the Hittite women. I'll give you that one. You loathe them. I got you on that one. But you don't loathe your life because of the Hittite women. You loathe your life because of what you just did. You loathe your life because of what you just did. If Jacob takes a wife from Hittite women like these, from the native girls, what good to me is life? What good to me is life? Guys, this makes me think about Adam in the garden, Genesis chapter 3. Adam says, the woman you gave me. Makes me think about Cain and Abel. And God says, what happened to Abel? And he says, am I my brother's keeper? Always a deflection from responsibility. It's like this thing in the book of Genesis where when they have the opportunity to be honest and confess and just say what happened, and they don't. They deflect and they say somebody else's fault. Guys, just own what you've done. Just own what you've done. The only way things are ever going to heal is if you just own what you did. What have I been telling you? It's the thing we started with. You cannot manipulate God to get him to do what you want. It's not going to end up the way you think it's going to end up. Guys, it's not going to end up the way you think. Even if you think you've succeeded, you failed. Romans 8:28 in the New Testament tells it to us this way. Paul says, and we know that for those who love God. Do I have anybody in here this morning that loves God? Anybody in here today that loves God? You love God? Okay. So this verse is for you. I mean, love him, love him. And we know that for those who love God, look at this. Look, family dysfunction. That thing that you think, well, things are so bad in my life, I don't care how bad they are in your life. If you love God, he says, all things. Look, those unspeakable sins, murder, deception. Oh, God can't use those things. God will not be manipulated. He's going to make all things work together, and he's going to make them work for good for those who are called according to his purpose. I want to pray for a couple of groups of people this morning. First of all, I want to pray for everybody in here that lifted their hands at the beginning of this message and said, Pastor, my family has this function. I want to pray for you. And then second, I want to pray for all of you here this morning that have that temptation to try to control, to try to manipulate, to try to take over a situation, to try to inject yourself into something that's going on. I want to pray for you as well. Will you bow your heads with me? Heavenly Father, first, Lord, I pray for all of those here this morning that are struggling with some sort of family issue, some sort of family drama. God, for all of those that some real stress because of deception, control, favoritism, pride, stubbornness. For all of those, God, that are facing family dysfunction. God, I pray that you'll give them peace. God, we don't want our desire to control it to be worse than their issue. We don't want our fear and our control issues to make things even worse than they already are. God, give us wisdom. Help us to understand how love is patient and it's kind. God, I pray for all of those that have that temptation to control, to manipulate, to convince. God, we confess this issue to you. Lord, we say that where we are weak, you are strong. And God, we're believing today that as we confess this to you, as we give it to you, God, that this area of our lives that has been such a struggle for us, now it will be a place where, because your Holy Spirit is changing us and moving us, it'll be a place of strength in our lives because we're leaning on you and depending on you, to trust in you, to lean on you and not into our own understanding, to in all of our ways acknowledge you and let you direct our paths. God, we surrender our control, our need to make it right. God, I pray for everyone in this room, just a position of surrender. God, surrender my heart. I surrender my heart to you. All over again, I surrender my heart to you. Let my heart be surrendered to you, oh God.